Saving for big goals can be intimidating, but small steps over time can really add up. If you create a basic safety net, start early, take advantage of an offered match, and prepare for the long haul, it can be done. Read or watch more about these basic tips of saving for the future at stcumoney.org.
Welcome to Let's Talk Spokane, where host Ryan McNeice seeks out and discusses the latest on a variety of hot local topics. Now, here's your host, Ryan McNeice.
Welcome to Let's Talk Spokane. I'm Ryan McNeice, and we're here in the studio with Loren LaCash Mellick, actor extraordinaire. I told you I was going to say that, but it's true. I had an opportunity to meet Loren in 2013 when he was performing Shrek at University High School, and I was blown away at what you and the rest of the cast did in that show. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And just to give them credit, such a phenomenal cast. I mean, I really couldn't have done it without them. We had so many people, working backstage and on stage that just had so much talent, especially at, such a younger level too.
Right.
High school isn't, known for being the most talented,
right.
But they were flowing with it. They had
and
so
yet,
much talent.
what I think what's amazing about what you guys did as a crew at University High School was off the charts in terms of Fifth Avenue Awards, et cetera, which we're going to circle back to how you even got into this. But you've spent the last 3 years at University of Northern Colorado, in Greeley, Colorado. How did you get there? What was the choice that brought you there?
It kind of started with high school. I've been doing theater for a while at that point, but we can come back to that later. But I kind of decided I really wasn't really finding anything else I wanted to do with my life other than just kind of being on stage. And they have what's called a unified audition in Washington. They have them in Seattle, Chicago, and I think there's one in New York as well. Maybe in Texas, I want to say, is another one, but we went to the one in Seattle, me and a classmate, and what they do is you just you audition for a number of people from different colleges, recruiters around the whole nation, really, and they just they will send you, a callback basically if they like you and want to see more of you, and I ended up getting, I want to say 7, 8, which is it's a good number,
right? Well, the logic of that unified audition makes a lot of sense throughout the United States.
Yeah, it's really nice. And Seattle is one of the smaller ones, so we didn't have as many colleges there. But one of the colleges that I'd already known from their involvement at other things like our state thespian conferences were University of Northern Colorado. They actually ended up not even calling me back. I just got a letter from them about 2 weeks later saying, "Oh, you're accepted." And
by the way, don't worry about us calling you. You're in.
Yeah, exactly. It was. I was really bummed initially. I was hoping they would have talked to me or something like that. And I was like, well, I got other options. But when they sent me a letter, I was like, oh, I'm really interested in them. I know them previously. They had a great price point, which is part of it for me. And I basically took that offer immediately. I applied for the college and I was in, and it was we toured and it was great and I loved it.
Well, beautiful location there in Greeley, Colorado.
Yeah.
Tell me how that system works, because you and I have chatted before and backstage as well. In terms of, there are different programs throughout the United States, but this particular program, very, very thorough in terms of all of the segments that go into putting on a great production.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the different divisions that lead to putting on a show.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, the school is actually split into 4 majors, basically. We have acting, we have musical theater, we have DT, which is design and technology, which is the kind of the construction and stuff, and then we have theater ed. And all of these kind of collate into putting on these shows. The actors and MTs tend to be the actors on stage, but we have the theater ed majors who are helping direct things like that, and all of us kind of work together to put on a really good show. And then with the DT, the design and technology, which is by far our best program, they are incredible. They have basically 5 different shops. They have a carpentry shop, they have a scenic design shop, they have a paint shop, and they have a prop shop, and they have a wardrobe shop. And they just one of the best programs in the nation, honestly, and there's so much that goes in, both from the design and tech majors and the rest of the school, because we have what's called IP, or individual performance, where students are graded based on their participation in these plays and shows, whether it be either on stage or behind the stage, and everyone gets equal credit. for that, whether they be an actor
Right.
or otherwise.
Well, and I think you make a good point that there's only so many folks that can be on stage in a given production, whether that lends itself to those particular 25 actors, et cetera, or less. But there are many, many roles behind the scenes, and I think that's what you're describing, and I think what folks probably understand, but it's the same in the theaters. Look at the credits at the end of any movie. There's hundreds of people involved and very few actors. So in your case, I think what you're experiencing through that education process is here are the actors out on stage making it look good, but there are a lot of folks behind the scenes getting the job done too.
Yeah, and they're making us look even better.
So
we need all the help we can get.
Talking about talking about the shows that you've done a great job in. Give me kind of a rundown about the shows you've had the opportunity to be in at University of Northern Colorado.
Yeah, so when I started freshman year, there are 3 auditions every semester, and we have 2 semesters, of course. And the first semester, freshmen generally don't tend to get roles unless it's a really exceptional case. But the second semester, I actually did manage to land the lead in a 1930s play called Once in a Lifetime. Was written by Moss Hart and George S. Kaufman, and it's about the rise of the talkies and how they were kind of eating away at the vaudeville audience back then. And it was a slapstick comedy, super pratfalls, things like that, all over the place. And it was such a fun experience because I was a freshman working with some of the seniors and in the program and the veterans, and it was so interesting just to be kind of around them. And that was the first play I got to experience. So I started off really high.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you got to feel good as a percentage. That doesn't happen very often. So good start to your college career.
It was great. After that, we moved on to sophomore year, which I was in 2 back-to-back. I was in Sunday in the Park with George by Stephen Sondheim, which is a play about a musical actually about George Surratt, who the Sunday in the Park has kind of the pointillism where it's the little dots. And
fascinating artist.
So much, so interesting just to learn about him. And then I was also in The Who's Tommy, which is a musical about that album, which was kind of one of the first rock operas that ever existed, really. And that was also so much fun, so very interesting. And then finally, junior year, a bit of a slump. I wasn't actually in anything. So I was working backstage, things like that. But that summer, I was in the Addams Family musical as Uncle Fester, and that's shaving my head was just kind of such a strange experience. Before we even got on stage, I was already trying something so very new and out of the box for me.
Well, and not only shaving your head, but I know we've talked about another part earlier where you had to wear don some facial hair that wasn't your favorite to play that role. But I've always been kind of mesmerized by that in terms of what actors go through in terms of, dare we say, like a method acting or something, that when you're not on stage looking at yourself, either that you've shaved your head entirely or you're wearing this mustache that isn't your favorite, that's got to be interesting that you look in the mirror and say, I'm a different person right now versus what I'm going to do on the stage here in 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you mentioned method acting, and I personally am not a method actor. I find I've tried that style. We learn about that a lot, the Stanislavski method, but it's not for me. I prefer to kind of snap into things. I like to be in the moment, and when I'm out of the moment, I can kind of relax and calm down. I don't need to have that up all the time, and I find it works much better for me. But yeah, no, looking in the mirror, you kind of see a face you're not used to, especially when I was bald. I wake up in the morning, I'd scare myself because I wasn't sure who
Here's
I was
the problem, I'm getting there too, but I'm just going bald, period, so I have to deal with it.
But no, it was so much fun. And then I actually just got back this summer from doing 2 shows with this company called Little Theater of the Rockies, which is an affiliate of this school. And it's professional theater, it's paid. We did Peter and the Starcatcher, which was a prequel to Peter Pan, written contemporary. I think it was 2009, I want to say. And then we also did Sister Act, the musical, which is based off the movie, the Whoopi Goldberg movie, which is a classic.
It is a classic. How is it affiliated with the school, and is it in the same town, or is
same town? It's actually run by most of the members from the school. They've been doing it. I think they're on. Oh shoot, I want to say their 55th year, something like that, of doing this. I'm going to sneeze a little bit.
That's okay.
But they use talent from the school, and they will also bring in alumni. They will bring in equity actors from around the country sometimes as well. We actually had someone from Tennessee come in for Peter and the Starcatcher, as well as someone an alumni from UNC. I want to say she's living in New York now. And she's been on Broadway a few times, things like that. And incredibly talented people that we are able to pull in.
Do professors from the school get involved in any of the productions?
Yeah. We actually had the head of the musical theater department was was in Sister Act the Musical playing one of the pastors, and such a funny guy, and he's so talented. As long as everyone at that school is very talented, they really know their stuff.
You probably got to be a little careful to be critiquing an actual teacher that's critiquing
exactly,
you.
Exactly.
Well, let's. I want to come back to your college experience, and definitely want to hit on where you're going to go in the future with this. But let's go back to the beginning here in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you even get into this, or how did you know that this is an interest of mine?
It was so strange because when I was a young boy, like 4 or 5 years old, I was terrified of people in general. I was afraid of being away from my parents. I was such a shy boy, and I was in school, of course, and school was kind of weird for me already because I didn't get to see my parents, and I was freaking out about that. But they had auditions for the school play, and I don't know what really possessed me to want to audition, but I did. And it was the night before Christmas. Simple stuff. A bunch of first graders basically. Yeah. And I ended up playing. I was one of the toys in the toy dance, and I ended up we made our own costume, and I was a little Lego piece. And I don't know, something just kind of clicked with me there that I was like, I want to do this again. And I at that point, of course, I wasn't thinking about career stuff, but
no. But I think you're making such a good point that I continually come back to and fascinated by. Is there was something in you, almost the irony. Like you said, that you were nervous or anxietous. I don't want to be out in front of folks, don't want to be away from my parents. But there was something about that experience that is, again, the irony that you put yourself out there and yet you were comfortable.
Yeah, and it was such a strange experience because it was the exact opposite of what I would call my comfort zone. But I kept coming back to it. I did it my second grade year, third grade year, fourth grade year, fifth grade year.
You were thriving.
I just kept doing it. And I was kind of helping out with it too every year and other things outside of the community, kind of things like that. And it was just so much fun, really. It was I didn't think of it as I didn't even know it was a career at that point. I just knew it was fun and I wanted to keep doing it.
Well, you knew you were sincerely in the moment that this is something you really enjoyed doing. What are some of the organizations you were involved with in that third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and into middle school?
And it wasn't so much as involved on stage, but I was begging my parents to go see shows at that point. I would be like, I want to go to Spokane Civic Community Theater. I want to go see these plays. I want to go see movies about plays and things like that. And it was so interesting just to kind of experience this. And I got to see this these adults who were doing the same thing that I was doing, and it was so fascinating to me.
But I think you're making just a great plea for the arts, obviously, here in Spokane, that you're commenting on the Civic or Lake City Playhouse or over in Coeur d'Alene that you ultimately did some great shows at. If those weren't here, you wouldn't have had access to those at that early age that's brought you to what you're doing right now. Exactly.
And I definitely agree that, these things need to, be experienced because sometimes you don't know this until you see it or try it. And you mentioned Lake City Playhouse, and that was one I was affiliated with later, when I was, high school age. Same with Civic. I ended up doing, a show there, I want to say freshman year of high school as well. Both incredibly talented groups of people that, really have a passion for it, and I really respect that.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
And that passion, it's certainly the shows I had the opportunity to see you in and other shows at Lake City Playhouse, that passion is right there on stage. Let's take a short break and come right back and chat more with Loren LaCash Mellick. Thank you.
You're listening to SpokaneTalksOnline.com, Spokane and North Idaho's business and community talk station.
Rob Curley, editor of the Spokesman Review.
Spokane isn't really like anything I've ever seen. I love that we're one of the smallest cities in America with its own symphony. I love that we host the biggest 3-on-3 tournament, that we have this huge road race. I love that the highest rated hotel in all of Washington is in Spokane. I love that on any given night within one block, you can have 3 Grammy winners playing. I've never seen anything like it.
Online, in print, the Spokesman Review. Subscribe to the experience.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
To help you be safe, Washington state law requires you to call 811 2 full business days before you plan, for example, to dig, drill, plow, pull from, or pound anything into the ground. Be prepared to provide the operator with the correct address, cross street, and the description of your work. You must mark the dig area with white paint. The operator will inform you of the utilities notified of your impending excavation. Wait for all their marks. Be safe and dig with care.
Welcome to Let's Talk Spokane. We're back with Loren LaCash Mellick, actor. Thanks. Right before we left, we were talking about here in Spokane, really, the opportunities that you had as a young person coming through elementary school, into middle school, and then again at University High School. Let's hit on those, though. You did Shrek, but before that, I think you did...
Yeah, I actually was in every show I could be at University High School.
Yeah.
And I just want to give a quick, shout out to Brianne Green and George Green, who were running the program at the time. Totally inspired me to keep on going. I was really shy getting into high school theater because I didn't think I was good enough, and they convinced me that no, you're going to audition, you're going to
do this.
I did Oklahoma, a small play called Spoon River Anthology. I did Assassins by Stephen Sondheim, which is actually like about people who assassinate presidents.
Right.
That was kind of
great
crazy.
Show, though. It is an interesting show.
I did Beating the Beast. I did Little Women the musical. I did Almost Maine, which is another straight play. I did Les Miserables. I did Urinetown, which is, again, kind of a weird piece.
Yeah, but a good one.
Shrek, like you said, and then finished my senior year with Jekyll and Hyde.
Which was fantastic. You guys had the revolving floor. That was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
All those shows are great, and you are correct. Brianne and George just put on great shows. But I also think the piece that's really important that you just mentioned is not only are they professionals, directors, et cetera, but from an education standpoint, the high school level, they encouraged you to do something you may not have done. And I think that's probably the most important piece of it. Led you to University of Northern Colorado. You've done several shows, kicked off your freshman year, beat the law of averages, and we're in a show right off the bat. You're going into your senior year. What's the curriculum look like at University of Northern Colorado?
Yeah, so it is a state school, so we do take general education classes alongside this thing, our regular sciences, histories, maths, things like that. But what they really, for our core major, what they focus on is we have basically kind of a progression system. We start out with like the basics and principles of acting and things like that, and voice and dialect coaching. So you learn kind of, how to properly speak. You got to kind of remove accents so you sound very uniform, because a lot of directors will look for that, uniform sound later on in life. And then you learn, of course, the accents and things like that.
Right.
We learn things like directing, very kind of basic, of course, but directing other, our peers and things like that in scenes and short little songs and things like that. We learn things. Improv was one of our classes. That's another good thing, a skill to have. Stage makeup, understanding how to make certain faces. Have you ever seen Cats the musical? They have those crazy faces. We learn not that extent, but how to do things like that. We have play script analysis, which is learning how to read a play and kind of understand the arcs, the actions, the heaps as they call them, which is kind of the characters' kind of intents and things like that, and how they portray them on the page before you even get to the stage level. We have things like audition techniques, which is more for beyond college and things like that. We have acting for the camera, which the one thing our school doesn't do as much as some other schools is we don't have as much camera work because we do really focus on the stage.
Right.
We have one class for camera work, which is it's a very strong class, and it's every major has to take it, but we do focus on the stage for sure.
But I think that's a critical point, though, that you're making, because I think there's a lot of experience that comes with having that close-up, and as you described with the makeup, the expressions might be different than if you're trying to speak and or communicate an expression to the very back row of a theater versus literally the front row, which is the camera.
And then, very different techniques, and they're both equally valid, and I know people at UNC who want to go into theater on the stage, and plenty of people who want to go into film. And another thing we do is we have showcases for the seniors at the end of the years. We have one showcase that goes to New York and one showcase that goes to LA. And agents will meet up there that are connections with some of our professors and things like that, and they can tend to send you offers and things like that, which is something hopefully I will be a part of next year.
It almost to a certain extent, it takes you back 4 years to that unified audition.
Exactly.
It gives you the chance to be in front of as many agents and or at that time colleges that you can. Well, it certainly sounds like the well-rounded aspect of the curriculum is intact and is there. And really gives you the opportunity to truly play all sides of the part, whether it be the makeup, whether it be backstage. It seems like all the pieces are there.
Yeah, and that's just for the acting program, which is the one that I'm in. We also have, our musical theater, which focuses a lot on dance. We have, jazz, tap, ballroom dance.
But you've done some of that as well,
I have.
right?
I've kind of poked my head into that, and I enjoy it. I'm not a dancer, unfortunately, but I have poked my head, and I've learned some crucial skills. And we also have the voice pedagogy. We have plenty of teachers who are incredibly talented. I actually take lessons with the head of the department, and he takes a number of students. And I've been taking lessons with him for about 3 years. Very talented. He really knows how to kind of pull what he needs out of you and helps you how to grow, basically.
And this foundation of curriculum that I think you're describing, that transitions to me to where you probably will go post your senior year at University of Northern Colorado, in that you have such a wide array of background in the theater. Taking that to, are you thinking New York? Are you thinking Chicago, L.A.? What's the future going to look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I have no idea, if I'm being completely honest. But I have ideas and plans that I would hope to.
But you had no idea when you went to UNC either.
True.
And
true,
you took
exactly.
that step.
Exactly, and that's so true, because you never know what the future is really going to hold. But I would like to eventually end up in New York. With the showcases, sometimes people get offers from those, and they go somewhere immediately. It could be, oh, we want you in LA now, and you could just go
and jump into a show or
exactly,
a program, or
exactly. Or like some people have been on cruise liners, some people have been on tours, some people have gone straight to Broadway, some people have even found regional theaters that they become residents in, and that's I'm looking at all of these options basically, and I kind of want to see what's going to be the most viable option for me, and who are interested in me, kind of thing.
Well, and I think a phrase I end up saying quite a bit is, there's so much value in figuring out what you don't like. And I think through your collegiate experience, I'm sure there's been aspects of you commenting on dancing or this, that, or another thing that you're taking the time to figure out you might not want to go too far down that road, might not be your thing. Or, quite frankly, the opposite. You figure out that's exactly what I want to do.
Exactly, and that was true for me. I already had an inkling of this when I went into theater as a major, but I'm not as interested in film as I am with the stage. I mean, something about kind of the majesty of the stage. I don't know, the uniqueness of it. It's different every time you're up there, and there's something that really draws me in about that. Whereas I have done one movie. It was a small little project here. In fact, I think it was. I've never actually seen it.
I love that answer. You're like, I did a movie, but I've never actually seen it.
I never got a copy of it. It was a small little horror film that I was doing for...
filmed here in Spokane?
Yeah, filmed here up at the Rock and Bee Ranch off of the interstate, if you know where that is. And I was in 2 scenes as a flashback of the main character. And it was so interesting because I'd never done any sort of film work before that. I must have been probably 15, 16 at that point. And with film, it was a lot more, we'll do a take, and I'll say my line one way. They'll be like, oh, okay, we
let's
don't
try
like
a different way.
Let's try a different way. And I'll do that maybe 4 or 5 times, and then they'll find one they like, but they're like, oh, wait, the lighting wasn't exactly right. So do it exactly how you just did it. We're going to fix the lighting.
You're like, however, I'm not sure that I can authentically do what I just did.
Exactly.
Which, is that what you're describing as maybe one of the major differences between theater and being in front of a camera?
Definitely.
That you get one shot.
Yeah, you get one shot.
Each night, you get one shot tonight.
You get one shot, and it's always spontaneous. Which film, of course, it is spontaneous as well, but it's always the energy in the theater is always just slightly different, and it's something about that is so fascinating to me. Whereas with film, you have partners or something that you're reacting with, but generally, unless the director says so, it's going to be one way. Whereas when we're on stage, it just could be anything.
How much do you play off a good crowd or a bad crowd in terms of that energy?
Oh, it depending on the show, of course.
Right.
On a dramatic show, a little bit less, definitely.
Sure.
But a good example is in Addams Family, when I was Fester, Uncle Fester. There was a line that got a laugh every night, and it was always, we knew to pause for that line.
Give it a little extra time for some applause.
But one night, it was a solid minute and a half of just applause and laughing, and it's just that's the energy where you kind of have to you have to feed to that.
Right.
You have to find the audience and see what they like and kind of pull it out of them.
Or if there was a night where that laughter doesn't occur, you're thinking, what's going on here? That was a perfect line.
Yeah, and then you have to just keep going. You have to understand what they want and find out what they want and play to it.
Yep,
exactly.
Which is part of your education and part of your experience.
Exactly.
If New York is where you ended up a year from now, 2 years from now, do you see yourself hopefully long-term making a career out of being in the theater?
Definitely. I can't see myself doing anything else. I mean, I have a job now that I have to live, but
Right.
I can't see myself doing anything else long term. I think it's stage or bust for me, or even film if it comes to that.
You know what? I appreciate that, though, because first of all, statistically, monetarily, there are lots of diverse careers in theater and film, but in theater. But it's what we were talking about at the beginning. Sometimes folks think, well, unless I'm the lead right up there in front, there's no career for me. But I think you've done a good job of describing there's a whole plethora of different areas to participate and make a living.
And making a living, that's important, but that's kind of the backseat to just doing what I love. As long as I'm, doing something I'm interested in, even if I'm not making as much money as the Tom Hankses of the world, I'm happy just to be doing something on stage and getting paid to perform that art.
But I think you're describing that you're doing something for the right reason. You're doing it because you sincerely love it. That's definitely something I've tried to talk to my kids quite a bit about, is don't do something for money. Do it because you find that sincere feeling that you identified at 4 years old on the stage, or 6 years old, that you said, there's something to this. I like this. Then the monetary aspect and making a living, so to speak, can come secondarily.
Exactly.
What do you think about going from Spokane, Washington, Greeley, Colorado, New York City, Manhattan?
It's still kind of a distant idea for me. I can't quite visualize it. I've never actually been to New York, unfortunately. I would like to make a trip very soon, but I haven't actually been to the city yet. So I hear stories, and I hear you get the movie kind of view of it. Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah,
but you don't really know what it's like.
That's true. That was close. That was good. I've seen that, heard that.
But you don't really know what it's like until you get there, and so I'm excited to see what happens.
But you're going on your idea of what you can do and be there. I think that's the real special aspect of it, and good for you at a young age to hold on to your dreams and make it a reality. I think it's fantastic. And I know back at U-High you had a lot of great people that have assisted you in getting there.
Oh yeah.
Really appreciate you coming in, Loren. I know in terms of scheduling, you're going to be flying right back out to Colorado here really soon.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here. Will you please come back, though, and tell us about the next show here in the near future?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Loren.
Let's Talk Spokane is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask us a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Thanks for listening.
If you're like many shoppers, you love to find a deal online. Or you shop online because it's so convenient. And you probably know thieves love to go online too, to try to steal shoppers' credit card information. When you're shopping online, you can start protecting your credit card information by investigating the website you're shopping on. Make sure the online retailer lists a real phone number and a physical address. Read the site's privacy policy and search for reviews and ratings of the retailer. You can read more about safe shopping online at STCU's financial education blog. Go to stcumoney.org.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.